What's up, people? It's your girl Adeola. The whole world is finally waking up to how Black Africans are being treated in Libya and in many Arab countries. You know, some of us have been saying this for years, that not all, but many Arabs do not see Africans, Black Africans, as equal to them. Even though we are all crying about the situation in Libya, can I just tell you, it's not just happening in Libya. Go on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of documentaries about slavery in Sudan, in Mauritania, in Niger, Yemen, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia. Even though it's been abolished in so many of these countries, it's still going on. So my first message is to African officials, African presidents: when will you realize that you're losing millions of young minds because of your failure to do what you were elected or appointed to do? People are just asking for basic things: good roads, good hospitals, stable electricity, security, good jobs. Young people are living in thousands from Somalia, Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, Sierra Leone, Tunisia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Gambia, Mali. It's like young people from all over Africa are migrating in thousands. Many of them are graduates, by the way, who couldn't find jobs for years. Other people that are not Africans are more outraged than we are. Rwanda offered to take 30,000 of them, and it's like, where is Nigeria, the so-called giant of Africa? Are we just giants on paper? Of course, we know the route that the smugglers are taking people through, especially from Nigeria. I know that our borders are so porous, but this is the time for us to do something. Many of the people going from Nigeria are going from Edo State. They are going through Benin. Now, let me talk to people that are going to Libya or thinking about going to Libya. The first thing that baffles me is the fact that people actually pay agents to take them to Libya. The least that I've seen is 500,000 naira. Some people are paying millions of naira. In fact, I've seen a migrant that said he paid 3,000 euros.
How much money did it cost you?
3,000 euros.
3,000.
3,000 euros. Now, I lose everything.
Can you imagine? Personally, I think if you have access to that kind of money, if you are able to raise that kind of amount, you don't need to smuggle yourself to another country illegally. Please keep that $5,000 or 500,000 naira in your account for some time while you apply for schools in different countries. You just never know countries that will give you scholarship, and then you apply for a visa. If one country doesn't give you visa, another country will give you visa. I know that most people don't want to hear what I'm saying. Many people are not looking towards going to school. They just want to go to somewhere where they can make quick money. They believe the grass is greener on the other side. A lot of people think that in all these countries there are jobs waiting for them, which is why I'm going to tell you about 5 things that usually happen when people decide to go by road instead of going by visa. Now, before I tell you, please know that some people made it and they made it safely and they're living a good life in Italy. So I'm not generalizing. I'm just trying to tell you the reality of what could happen. So after paying an agent, depending on the country you're coming from, if you're going by road, it takes about 3 weeks to get to Libya.
How long did it take you to get to Libya from Ivory Coast?
3 weeks.
If you are coming from Nigeria, it takes about 2 weeks.
Are you from Nigeria?
Yes.
How long have you traveled across the Sahara?
For 2 weeks now.
2 weeks.
2 weeks now.
Now, these 2 weeks is not fun. It's dusty. The sun is blowing in your face the whole time. 22 people were crammed in that vehicle, by the way. 22 people for 2 weeks. If you lean back and fall off the vehicle, no one will stop for you. You are either dead of thirst and hunger, or you get kidnapped in the Sinai desert. The vehicle may also break down. If it breaks down, all the people in the vehicle may get kidnapped. Not in all cases, but they may get kidnapped. And once they're kidnapped, their organs are harvested. You know, organ harvesting is a big business in the Sinai desert. And that's a desert that people have to drive through. I know this is graphic, but you know, this guy also left home hoping to get to Europe. First of all, they drained his blood, and then they removed his eyes, they removed his ears, they took out his kidney and other vital organs in his body. He's just one of thousands of people, by the way. Now, this has been happening for years. Many Eritreans, many Ethiopians have also shared their experience. They were victims of organ harvesting. For some people, that is where they end their journey to Europe. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just telling you the reality of what some people have faced. The second thing that could happen is that if your organ is not harvested by the kidnappers in the Sinai desert, they may use you to extort money from your loved ones in your country while they beat you up every day.
They were tortured. Massively high ransoms were demanded. Many of the women were raped, and some of the refugees were even killed.
They will force you to call your family members in your country and tell them to send you money. If not, that they would kill you.
They tortured us and said, if you do not pay $3,500, we will kill you. We contacted our relatives. They paid the $3,500, but instead of releasing us, they chained our hands and legs together and hung us upside down.
By the way, it doesn't just happen to those who were stranded in the middle of the desert. Some people actually make it to Libya and then get kidnapped in Libya, and the same thing happens to them.
We stay indoor here, we don't come out.
What do you think would happen to you if you were to go outside?
We get some of us kidnapped. Some people, they
Some get kidnapped?
Yeah.
And what, they hold them and then they ring the families back in
Yeah,
Nigeria?
they ransom for money. They ask for money.
It's so unfortunate. Now, the third thing that could happen is that if you were kidnapped in Libya, you can be auctioned as a slave, which is what we've seen. And this means that you become somebody else's property.
We're sold at cheap prices like chickens. I was sold, and I was still pregnant at the time.
J'ai été vendu à 150 000 francs CFA. J'ai travaillé pendant 6 mois dans le champ.
I was sold. Merciless beating. If you look at most of the people here, if you check their body, you see the mark. They're beating with electric. Even your boot or they took something like a sharp object. Most of them lost their life there.
That's why I'm saying that being auctioned as a slave is just one of the various things that could happen to migrants that are trying to go through Libya.
They took people to work by force. When you are working the work, they will be beating you. When you are working the work, I'm doing your work. They will be maltreating us. Higher.
All these people that you saw, by the way, they paid money to leave their countries. Another thing that could happen is that the agents in Libya may tell them that they need more money to get them through to Europe. And of course, they usually don't have the money. So they will tell them that you have to work in Libya for years in order to pay me so that I can put you on the boat going to Europe.
How long ago did you leave Nigeria?
2 years now.
You're working to pay for your next part of the journey. And what work are you doing?
I'm a mechanic.
You're a mechanic?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Okay, I'm your baba.
So just because that's a Nigerian guy, I think he can open a barber shop in Nigeria without having to worry about the safety of his life. As for the women, some agents will force them into prostitution in order for them to pay for their trip to Europe.
How long have you been here, girls?
6 months, 5 months, 4 months.
And did you come from Nigeria?
Yes.
Are you happy here?
No.
All these girls you're seeing, by the way, when they left home, they believed that they were going to Europe.
They told me that I'm going to Italy. Then I found myself in this country.
So the smugglers are holding you here to pay for your journey so far?
Yes.
It's so unfortunate. Now that's heartbreaking. Many of them are now pregnant without knowing who the father of the baby is. Many of them have all kinds of STDs. Also, their owners rape them, which is why sometimes when you hear the reason for leaving home, when you hear some of their reasons, you are speechless.
Some of us, we have no father. Some of us, we have no parents.
No parents.
So we are just struggling on our own.
Yeah, it's because of Boko Haram. Most of us are homeless and we can't even get good education because of them. They burn down schools and terrorize us every time.
Okay, so I'm not trying to belittle her reason. Boko Haram has displaced millions of people, but there are other parts of Nigeria that you can go to where you won't be forced into prostitution or slavery. Once again, I am not generalizing. There are people who had genuine reasons to leave. As we speak, there are thousands of girls that are being forced into prostitution in Libya. Men are not excluded. Some of the men are forced to sleep with other men or to sleep with each other.
Avec la prison des Rastas, on vous déshabille, vous les hommes. On te demande, toi, un homme, de coucher ton frère, ton pote, que tu manges avec lui, tu dois le coucher.
And if you refuse, they shoot you. Now, if you're able to raise money for the smuggler to get you to Italy, they will put you on a dinghy boat for a 200-mile journey. Even the smugglers know that you can't make it on that kind of boat.
Do you expect those boats to make the journey all the way to Italy, 200 miles?
ما يصلش 200 ميل. You security Italy 30 mil. 200 mil problem.
Some people make it, but that boat was not built for a 200-mile journey. They don't want to spend too much money because if they spend too much money on the boats to get you to Italy, there's nobody that will bring the boat back to them in Libya so that they can reuse it. So in order for them to save money, they have to keep buying something that is cheap each time they want to put people on the boat. To them, it's just business. Your life doesn't matter. But they are making £8,000 on each boat.
Business any 15,000 dinar, one boat.
How many people would you smuggle in a week?
2 boat, 3 boat.
That gives him a profit of £25,000 a week.
Keep in mind that the smugglers don't go on the boat with them because they know it's not safe. They make one of them sail the boat, usually a fisherman from Gambia or Senegal. All they do is give the person a compass. Even the person doesn't know where they are going.
When you put the migrants on the boat, would one of the smugglers sail the ship, run the engine?
Then Gambia, Senegal. Hey, الكابتن هذا يجي من غادي هو سواق من البحر وكان صياد.
What many people don't know is that European countries are funding Libyan Coast Guard to intercept the boats so that Africans will not get to Europe. So after taking off, thinking that you're finally on your way to Europe, the fifth thing that could happen is that the Coast Guard would stop them. And they are not nice. They beat them up and force them to get off the boat, and then they burn the boat.
The rubber boats are set on fire to stop smugglers using them again.
That's the end of the money that these people paid. The money is gone.
How disappointed are you?
Very, very disappointed because I'll spend a lot of money. The little money my mom gathered in Nigeria, they'll spend it on me.
Doesn't matter how far they've gone on the sea when their boat was intercepted, they'll take them back to Libya and put them in prison or in a detention camp, which is just like a prison. Many of the survivors say that they beat them every day.
They cannot understand what we are saying. If we are talking to them, they will be beating us like say we are an animal.
They will beat us like animal. They call us animal. They call us slaves.
Just take us home. No food, no drinking water. Just take us home. Want to go? No food, no water, nothing.
Honestly, what can I say? Some of them were only given breakfast, which is just bread.
Okay, gentlemen, this is the breakfast time. Reorganize. A cup of tea and also a piece of bread and a piece of cheese. So this is his breakfast. This is not enough food even to feed a child, not a normal person.
400 guys share one toilet.
And the block toilet full of shit there, used by 490 men.
Now imagine living in that kind of situation for 9 months.
Where are you from?
I'm from Gambia.
Gambia, yeah?
To go back to my country. Is that what I want? When I was living in my country, Gambia, I weighed myself. I was 87. Not enough food.
Look at how much weight the guy had lost. Do you know that many people actually die? The women's detention is not better off.
Regardez là où ma place là où je dors, c'est là où je suis assise là. Il y a au moins 5 femmes qui ont l'âge de ma grossesse.
J'ai envie de rentrer dans mon pays. Je suis démoralisée. Je crois que c'était pour aider mes enfants. Je savais pas que je mettais mes enfants dans le trou.
It's so sad, you know. And then one lady had the baby right in the bathroom that she was sharing with everyone. After like a month, the baby died, and then she's also in need of urgent medical care.
This is where I give birth.
Right here?
Here, inside bathroom, inside toilet. That is where I give birth to my baby. Here, I'm dying also. There's no caring for me. People used to hold me to bedroom and call me back. I'm dying.
It's so sad. But that's not all. Keep in mind that ISIS also has training camps in Libya. I mean, they once kidnapped 88 Eritreans in Libya. I also talked about the time that ISIS beheaded 30 Ethiopians in Libya in 2015. And besides ISIS, Libya has more guns. They sell guns on Facebook in Libya. At any time, a local can kidnap or shoot an immigrant. Now, if you're lucky to make it past the Coast Guard, it takes 4 days on water to get to Italy, but it's dangerous 4 days. Already more than 3,000 migrants have drowned this year alone. Last year, it was 4,500 people, of which 16% were children. That is 720 children. Many people believe that the people that drowned are more than the officially reported ones. Earlier this year, 26 Nigerian women were buried in Italy, and 2 of them were pregnant, by the way. And in 2013, I talked about how 360, mostly Eritreans, drowned and were buried in Italy. It's so sad. Italians are saying that their morgues are full. They don't want any more dead bodies. Nevertheless, 107,000 African migrants have entered Italy this year alone. Imagine how many of them left home if 107,000 have entered Italy. Keep in mind, there are 500,000 Africans still in Libya trying to get to Europe. Some people believe that those who die along the way are more than those who make it. Now, the heartbreaking part of this story is that getting to Italy doesn't mean you get to live in Italy or any other European country. I hate to tell you this, but no one is actually waiting for you with a job or with money. In fact, the people of Italy, a lot of them are tired of people smuggling themselves into their country. Italians have been protesting a lot. The African migrants should leave.
Thousands took to the streets in Milan in a protest over the level of illegal immigration into Italy.
It's an invasion by illegal immigrants. It's a crime. We ourselves have many problems with the economic crisis.
Dozens of locals tried to turn back a bus bringing migrants into town. 14 police officers were slightly injured.
The Italian government sends ships to pick up citizens of other countries, brings them here, and the government gives nothing to my grandfather.
Residents of this neighbourhood of Treviso in the north of Italy are angry that migrants are moving into empty apartments nearby. They got inside and piled all the new arrivals' belongings up outside.
Although as soon as they rescue them, they check their health, they check their ears, their eyes, and then they give them a pair of tennis, and also they give them lunch. And then the only reason that you can stay in Italy is if you file for asylum. And to qualify for asylum, that means you need evidence, compelling evidence that your life was in danger in your country. You cannot go there and say that there is no job or there is a recession in your country. No, they will not listen to you. If you're from Nigeria, they don't want to hear that there is Boko Haram insurgency because they know that there are places you can go to. And also you can't tell them that you are Biafran and you are being persecuted. They don't want to hear that because they are more sympathetic to people that are coming from Syria or Afghanistan or Iraq. I mean, countries where they know that there's actually a war going on. But you know how Nigerians are. I read an article where some Nigerians were telling the asylum officer to make up a story for them because none of their stories were compelling and deserving of asylum or refugee status. They think they are in Nigeria. It's so unfortunate. Also, I read somewhere that what many Nigerians are saying now is that they are gay and that the Nigerian law jails homosexuals. So if you have compelling evidence after applying for asylum, you have to wait for an average of 6 months to a year at a detention before your case is heard.
30 or 35 people inside this room. We are from the same camp. He spent here 1 year, 7 months.
A panel still has to meet to determine whether or not they will grant your request.
A lot of people get mental problem. The moment you put them in a place, you know, that they cannot go do things, you park them in one place, they must have confusion. This is why many people, they will just arrive to Italy. After a few days, they all go confusing.
Unfortunately, after going through all this, a lot of people are still deported back to their country. Now, I'm not discouraging anyone from going. There are people who made it and who are doing really well now in Italy. Meanwhile, some are getting into gangs. There is a very strong Nigerian gang now in Italy that everybody is complaining about.
The mafia is now sharing territory with the Black Axe, a Nigerian gang that slipped in amongst earlier waves of migrants and established a lucrative drug smuggling and human trafficking network.
They take bottle and block my head and use ass and cut me. To join them and oppress people, I don't live that kind of life.
And some ladies are being forced into prostitution. It's so sad because when their asylum is denied, some of them try to escape to another country in order to try their luck. This year, more than 100 people were caught hiding under the train from Italy to Germany. You know how dangerous that is? And of course, a lot of them are Nigerians. Having said all this, I know how my Nigerian people are. I know that some people will still say that my own will be different in Jesus' name. I have a praying mother. No, please, no. Jesus is not the one telling you to enter another country illegally. Please, ladies and gentlemen, despite the failure of our government, please stop risking your lives. Apply for a visa. If one country doesn't give you, another one may give you, but you would never know. Now, having said that, I strongly condemn what's happening in Libya, how people are being sold as slaves due to the failure of African leaders. So several African organizations in the US are preparing for a protest, a rally in DC on December 12th. Please try to make it if you're able, and it will start at the Libyan embassy to tell Libya to stop selling Black Africans as slaves and to also release all the migrants that are in Libya right now and let them go home safely. The protest will end at the State Department. So if you can make it, please try to make it. It's not a Nigerian thing or an Ethiopian thing. It's the whole of Africa coming together in Washington, D.C. in one voice to say no to slavery. You guys know I don't know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.